What is going on YouTube? When coming at you with what I want to see in Rust 2016. I'm going to kick it off with backpacks. I don't know how many times you find yourself farming or on a raid and there are just not enough slots in your inventory to complete the task. Now, I do understand that there is a reason for this, so a way to make it more fair would be to make it sacrifice chest armor, for example, so that it's mainly used for farming and an escape from a raid, so they're pretty easy to gun down if they're running away. The second thing I want to see is more variety in cosmetic skins. Now, that covers guns and clothes. We see so many great designs in the Rust workshop that are all copyright free from images, and as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong. All that needs to be done is to let the floodgates open and start putting them on the market for sale. And speaking of cosmetic skins, that brings me to my third thing I want to see in Rust this year, building skins. I feel like all the bases in Rust have this similar look and feel, and after a while it gets boring to look at. Wood, stone, and more recently since the buff, sheet metal. People are able to do some pretty cool things with manpower and a good architect, but in the end it all looks the same. A big metal or stone base behind stone external walls. It would be awesome to see things like mossy stone walls with vines creeping up the side, or rotting wood for wood bases, brick bases, cobblestone bases, or this sheet metal pattern for the sheet metal bases. I mean, there's plenty of different possibilities for building skins, but there's just a few off the top of my head. Also, I mentioned earlier about bases all looking similar. Well, the fourth thing I want to see in Rust this year are more building parts. We can already see it slowly starting to happen, what with the chain link fences, graded floors, prison bars, and ladder hatch being added. But some more items would be awesome, such as this staircase. It could have a curve in it so you don't have to edge your way through the door while crouched to get on it. Garden beds. Bulletproof glass for windows that could take the same amount of damage as wood. Even one-way glass, so you can look out but people can't look in. Doors with peepholes, chimneys with a fireplace instead of destructible fires that would litter the floor. Curved building parts to take away from the rigid look. The list just goes on and on. Something else I would like to see is terraforming, so you could flatten a little bit of land. We see it in Life is Feudal, which is a great addition to the game, and I think it would do wonders for Rust. I mean, how many times have you laid down pretty much all of your foundations and you're getting to the end of your design and there's just that little dip in the hill which just ruins the whole design because you can't place it down because it's just a little bit too high off the ground. Another thing I want to see added is transportation. I think at some point when horses were first added to the game, it was mentioned that we would eventually be able to ride them. So I'd like to see that in 2016. Even bikes as well, like this motorbike, which could run off low-grade fuel, or this push bike, just for example. I also want to see more variety in biomes. With the loss of the snow, it's just green lands and desert. It'd be awesome to see the snow come back with the additions of jungle areas, rainforest types of areas, with streams, rivers, and waterfalls. You could have a farmland type of area with long wheatgrass that made it hard to see people. Maybe even a pine barrens type of biome. I don't know, there's plenty of different biomes you could include. And you wouldn't necessarily need to have this all on the one seed. You could pair them up, such as the desert is with the Greenlands, and have those different maps roll around again in a type of rotational system. The next thing I want to see is the addition of boats. I think a small dinghy with a motor on the back would be great for getting back and forth from your water base, or a great way to raid a water base. You could have a small armada of boats with people zipping around, shooting rockets at the base, while people also get dropped off from the boat at the breach. It would also expand the map and introduce ocean bases. I'd also like to see shields introduced at some point. It would make melee a lot more of a viable option. There could be 3 tiers of shields: a one-handed bark shield, which would deflect arrows, a one-handed metal shield, which could deflect normal bullets, and finally the armored tower shield, which would be a two-handed shield. With the one-handed shield, you could use melee weapons and a pistol, but with the tower shield, which would cover you from head to toe, you wouldn't be able to use any weapons and would be restricted to only walking with no sprint. I'd also like to see the introduction of viewable items on characters. Too many times we've been too trusting of nakeds who, as soon as your back is turned, pulls out a pipe shotgun from between his ass cheeks and mows you down from behind. This would help a lot with trust issues that people seem to have, which would reduce the amount of naked killings. On that note, I'd also like to see a system introduced that helps the solo player out. There's been talks of a system where leveling is involved and you can actually level up by making tools and giving them to people to use. And every time they use that tool, it helps your stats out, which is definitely a step in the right direction. This will help a bit, but there will still be those psychos running around looking for naked blood. Maybe Face Punch could include a skill line that gives you added benefits for less kills outside of someone's tool cabinet radius. Now, I say outside of someone's tool cabinet radius because raiding is still definitely a big part of the game. Now, it was mentioned a while ago by Gary Christ that he wanted people to be able to recognize people from the way they look, which is simply not possible at the moment as there are only a few select character models. I'd love to see character creation added to the game so that you can change your weight, height, and facial appearances. This would definitely help with the whole recognizing thing. And finally, the thing I want to see most in the game. Two things, in fact. The quiver and the compound bow. I'm so sick of getting headshots with the bow and seeing the man with the metal mask slowly turn around and look at me like he enjoyed it, right before he mows me down with an AK. The compound bow would be a rare blueprint drop and would act the same way the bow did from the early 2015 Rust days. It was powerful, had a lot of range, and if you shot someone in the head with it, they would know it. Anyway guys, if you have anything you would like to see in Rust for 2016, leave it in a comment below. I'd be very interested to hear what your thoughts are, because there are definitely a lot of ideas I still haven't mentioned or thought of. Anyway, as always, I will catch you in the next video.
Is that there? The top two.
Dude, it's like 6 guys! Holy shit!
Boys, shoot the gun on them.
Headshot!
Let's go get him. Let's go get him. Come on.